All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm back with someone who was on the show within the past few years. I was going to say recently, but it hasn't been. It's been a little bit. But we're talking about a totally different band this time, which is kind of cool. So I think that people, if they do know you, might remember you from the episode we did about the Naked Midgets, Porters of the Prairie punk icons, the Naked Midgets, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And that's sort of how I know you in the first place. Back in the late '90s, early 2000s, our bands played shows together in Winnipeg and Portage and elsewhere. And so sort of been watching your various projects through the years, and you have a brand new one, which seems to be gaining some momentum. So I think the best way to start this off is for you to introduce yourself, introduce the project, and we can sort of get into it.
Yeah, well, I'm Jeff Darichuk. I usually go by Chuck as my nickname. And so, yeah, I was in the Naked Midgets for years, and then, life gets in the way. You become
Yep.
an adult. That project was kind of done. And I never really expected to get back into it, but same deal with a lot of these like old bands that come back. COVID happened, they're home, they pull out the guitars, they get a little extra time, but then everything got back up and running again in the world. And but I'd had these songs, so I just started putting them out as YouTube demos.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
And
Yeah.
yeah, they were really like lo-fi, just done on my iPhone. Didn't think anyone would notice it, and I was right. But so and then the band Pulling Pud from Portage, I know some of those guys. They got going pretty good there, and I was kind of giving them some advice on breaking into the scene and whatnot, and then they took it from there. And I mentioned to them I could use some musicians to help me play on my projects.
Yeah.
Um, and they were pretty busy. They're in two bands because they're also in Ticked Off too, who's been on the show.
Right. Thanks to
And
you for introducing me to both those bands and getting them on the show,
yeah,
which is
for
great. Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
No problem. Yeah. And then, yeah, all of a sudden I got a call from them and they asked if I wanted to record and if I needed them to play on some live shows. I
Cool.
never really expected that to actually happen, but it did. They got the space and it's all kind of pre-existing for us to walk in, and that's how it happened.
Cool. So this project is Chucky and the Cheapskates, which is
Yeah.
your new thing. And so I guess like before we get into even what the sound of that band is, what is it like sort of coming back to this? Because I mean we're a similar age, probably within a year or two of each other. I haven't played in a band in forever. So I get the position of wanting to play music but not doing it for a long time.
Yes.
And so what is that like for you to get back into this? Because you didn't only jump into recording demos and putting them on YouTube. Now this is like a fully fledged band that plays shows, and you've played shows in Winnipeg, and you're out there and things are happening. Like, what is it like, as an old guy our age to jump back into this? Because not that there's an age limit on playing punk rock, but it definitely is a genre that always has a constant stream of young people starting new bands, which is the best thing about it. But like, what is it like? You're in your 40s now, you're jumping back into it and trying this again.
Yeah, so it's definitely it's not just like riding a bike. Like I played a few solo shows, and when you get back into punk at this age, it almost feels wrong. Like you shouldn't, like I should be working on other responsibilities and
Yeah, yeah,
whatnot.
yeah. Be an adult or whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of guys I know, they haven't pulled out their guitar and amp since those
Well,
days or since
that's
they
yeah.
had kids. Yeah, exactly. And which is a shame because that riff on Train from Grandpa's Army was pretty badass there. So
Well, I'm glad somebody liked it. Yeah, yeah. But I mean,
yeah, yeah.
was there a learning curve though? Was like to get back into it?
Yeah, things have changed a little. Everything's done online now, like as far as promo and whatnot. People still flyer and there's word of mouth, but pretty much Facebook group and events. And
Yeah, yeah.
I would say it's more well organized now than it was in our day.
Okay.
And like, but you walk back into the venue and the smells and the sounds and the people and everything. It just kind of takes you right back to those days, and you don't feel too old at that point.
For sure, for
But
sure. And I mean,
most
obviously, there's people older than us doing it too, right? It's
for
not like
sure.
like there's no cutoff, but just the amount of time away from it, I think, would be tricky to sort of navigate. As far as the actual like playing and performing aspect of it, did you have to sort of rebuild those chops, or had you been playing just on your own? Sort
Yeah,
of.
no, I felt that it took more prep than back in the day, and
Okay, okay.
more like honing the craft and memorizing lyrics, and and like I getting back a little bit to the being an old guy at punk shows. I was talking to a guy at a show, either from the Zaps or the Sound Off, one of those
Okay.
guys there. You might be familiar with some of those bands, but they were telling me like he was about my age. He remembered
Yeah.
some of the old projects, and he was saying, you get to a point where you're too old, you got things to do and whatnot. Then you get even older, and it almost gives a window to get back into it at that time. So
Well, I guess there's a different kind of pressure, right? I mean, not that any of the bands either of us were in were destined to go anywhere
No.
successfully, but it's a different. I think I imagine it's a different kind of type of commitment you put into this because I mean, when you're 20, who knows, right? Maybe this thing could take off when you're
Yeah,
in your 40s and you've sort of just jumping back into it for fun. There's got to be a different. It's got to be a little bit easier in terms of like, oh, if we fuck up, who cares, right?
for sure. Or at the same time, you could shut it all down if life gets too busy and whatnot,
Yeah,
and put out whatever songs you were working on, play your last show kind of thing, and maybe pick it up again later. Like for example, in the winters, I coach like youth hockey, so not too much happens in the winters except maybe the writing,
yeah, yeah,
and that's just when you get extra time just for fun. And then some things take off, some things don't. What worked out for me is that these guys have like the jam space and like the place to do it where you can just walk in, play, and leave.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
At this age, like I couldn't imagine having equipment all around the house and guys coming and going.
Yeah, it's a different when you're when you're not doing it in someone's parents' basement at age 17 or whatever. It's a very different vibe for sure.
Exactly.
With this band, I mean, assuming people remember the Naked Midgets, they might not, but I mean, for those who do, they have an idea of what that sound was. How does this compare sonically? Like, is this sort of in the same vein? Would you say, or have you?
Well, I would say, yeah, the Nika Midgets was more of almost like hardcore punk.
Yeah,
Uh, Maybe morphed into more of a pop punk near the end, but it was heavier, it was faster. There's a bit of that here, but it's more on the folk punk end of it. Like a lot of people I know this day, like these days and age, they're into like Days and Days and
right.
like folk punk, like trying to think of some names right now.
But is that
Roots of
just
the
sort of
State.
necessity though? Is that because like you were writing these songs acoustically
I
anyway,
think
and
it's because at home you could kind of record with anything, an acoustic guitar, a washboard,
yeah, yeah,
bongos, whatever's around. And these bands are out there doing it. But then, like, I get together with the guys, and in the end, it kind of ended up heavier than I would have thought. Like drums, there's electric guitar on there.
yeah.
The title track is pretty much like heavy metal with some spoken word stuff. And
Okay.
yeah,
Cool, cool. And so it's kind of cool. This also seems like it's coming at a time when Portage. I mean, Portage is always at a punk scene, obviously, as evidenced by bands like Propaganda, by bands a decade later, like you guys, and we've named a few already here that are
yeah,
currently active. But I mean, it seems like Portage always has a punk scene, but it almost feels like it's kind of stronger now. You have bands like Ticked Off that are doing big things. Like, does this seem like the right time in that community to be getting back into this?
yeah, I would think so. The young kids are still doing shows and still putting them on, and there's always seems to be someone, and when someone drops it, somebody else picks it up and takes off. It's always kind of been that way. Lately, there's kind of like a emo screamo thing going on with the young kids. They're kind of into that. The guy that's mainly in charge of that is from Leaves Like Tiny Flames. His name's
Okay,
Hunter.
okay, I've
But
heard that band. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, they put out some recordings. That was actually kind of what inspired. Like I know that guy well, and inspired me a little bit. Like he just records a demo, throws it up on YouTube with a drawn cover and stuff. I was like, whoa, it's that easy, eh? Like it's kind of fun,
Yeah.
and that's what they do. So there's that kind of scene going on right now, and it's just something about Portage. Just the type of talent it is, just seems to push out the punk rock music and any music for that matter. There's a lot of like fiddlers and country music and whatnot.
Yeah. I
Doc
think.
Walker,
Oh,
those kind
sure,
of guys.
yeah. I
Yeah,
think Portage almost gets forgotten sometimes because I mean, even just doing this show, obviously Winnipeg is the priority because there's
yeah,
7 billion bands from Winnipeg. But even Brandon, I mean, Brandon's got a load of bands. Some of the other
mm-hmm.
towns like Morden, I've had a bunch of artists from Morden on here.
Yeah,
Portage is like it's a big place. And last time I was there, I was surprised. It had been a few years. I was surprised at
mm-hmm.
sort of how much it seems like it's grown. And
Yeah,
so it's not surprising. I mean, that part was surprising, but it's not surprising there's so many musicians there because I mean, there is everywhere in Manitoba, but that's that. It seems like Portage is kind of continuing to just get bigger and bigger, and more stuff happening, and more places to be, and yeah, it's cool to see.
definitely. I think Portage has a lot of music, a lot of art, and just and it's a heavy sports and hockey town too. But it's kind of like the the people that get out of the ranks and they get into the music and the art scene and stuff like that too around here. It's
Yeah,
just seems to be the way it is, and and I can't really put my finger on it, but I'm happy to be a part of it in any
For
way.
sure, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's cool too that you've like stuck with Portage, right? I mean, because I think a
Mhm.
lot of people who have lived in communities outside of Winnipeg often just come to the city and stay here, and
Yeah,
especially a lot of people involved in art stuff too. Because I mean, yeah, obviously there's an arts community in Portage and in Brandon and in wherever else, but Winnipeg is so much bigger, and I think a lot of
for
people will
sure.
migrate here. But you've been like Portage, Portage for life here, which is really
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. Yeah. And I could see that. Like you get into Winnipeg, you get downtown or into the exchange or something. There just seems to be that kind of like inspirational environment and like
Yeah,
outlets and venues for it, eh? Which there isn't here, but we could always travel. Like you say I was talking to somebody from Tokyo, Japan, and they asked me what city Chucky and the Cheapskates are from. I'd probably say Winnipeg.
right. Just
Because
because they'd recognize the name and stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly, yeah, yeah. And even at that, they may not recognize that either. But
Maybe not. Yeah, yeah. Unless they're
yeah,
hockey fans or something. Yeah. But okay. So speaking of Winnipeg, I mean, as someone, you obviously have a long history with the local music scene here in the city. From being in the Naked Midgets, from going to shows, things like over the decades. But what was it like, sort of, as a new Portage band coming into play shows? Just because I know you've done a few recently, and it seems like from videos I've seen and stuff, that you got a pretty decent reaction. Like,
yeah.
were there any barriers like to entry to sort of be coming
No,
back?
I would say not. Maybe the only barrier would be all the connections aren't there
Right, they've
anymore.
all moved on or whatever too, yeah, or
Yeah, like
retired or what, yeah, yeah, yeah,
there's still the Greg Ricases and
yep,
Steve-O and those guys that you know well,
yeah, yeah, for
and
sure.
you probably ran into them recently with Greg getting married there
Yeah, I
upcoming.
was at his bachelor party. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Me and Spriggs were supposed to go to that, but some adult stuff came up and we couldn't
sure.
make it. So but yeah, um, but the scene there seems to be pretty welcoming and pretty like helpful,
Yeah,
and doesn't really seem to matter the genre either. I guess I'm in the punk scene, and that's kind of what's there. All different styles, and there's guys my age or older in there right now,
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
and I wouldn't consider myself like totally ingrained and in there like a staple. Like I get a couple shows in a year, but yeah, it seems to be very diverse in age and genre for sure.
yeah, that's one of the cool things about the punk scene in general, I think, because like I mean, I remember going to shows, and you probably have a similar experience when we were like 15, 16, and you go to punk shows now and you still see people that age. So it's like there's always been that sort of welcoming aspect that I don't necessarily know if it happens in every genre, because some genres are very, very bar heavy as far as venues and things like that, and it's just not possible to
Yeah,
to get kids out.
there's
But yeah, I mean, I've been at punk shows recently in the city, and there's been parents my age bringing their little kids to the show,
yeah,
and the kids are all decked out in punk shit, and it's really cool. It's very cool to see. Like there's this, for some reason, it's always seemed super welcoming, which I think kind of goes with the whole ethos of what punk is about.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think you see that too. Yeah, it's a definitely all age kind of welcoming thing, like going back to Fugazi and everything,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
my
yeah, for
parents
sure.
kind of like bringing the kids too, and everybody's pretty welcoming. And then there's like the really old guys, and it's almost when they're there, it's kind of like, oh, awesome. There's a guy from back in the day. He saw Minor Threat
Yeah, yeah,
at the
yeah.
Hungarian club in St. Boniface or whatever it's called. And yeah,
Yeah, that is cool. It is cool to have those, even though there's very few sort of the further you get into history, but yeah, the links to that background, because Winnipeg is such a crazy punk, and the rest of Manitoba too, really punk history. But so with this band, I mean, what is sort of your goal with it? What are you hoping to achieve with this? And maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just for fun. But like
yeah,
you have an actual project now. It's not just you recording demos. You have music that's been recorded that's coming. You have music out there people can hear. You're playing shows. Like where do you want to go with this?
well, there was some things that I was never really able to do in the Naked Midgets. Like back then, like obviously the streaming and everything wasn't as what it is now.
Yeah,
Like I think we had Napster and stuff. We were never on anything like that really.
yeah,
But yeah, just to actually put out an album this day and age, I thought would be kind of cool to see. But still doing it is like stripped down and like on the cheap, like the name says,
yeah, yeah,
and at our own pace. That's kind of and have a few shows on a Saturday night in Winnipeg and just have fun, and that's really all it's for. And the fact that it's gotten some recognition now and whatnot, it's welcomed and we love it. But we're not out to you know try to get signed by Epitaph or anything, or we're not
yeah.
planning any like world tour or anything like that. So, but
I think
it's just for fun, and it may continue, and it may go into hiatus.
I think to get signed by Epitaph nowadays, you wouldn't even have to be a punk band. You'd just be some
Yeah,
weird like
that would probably
mumble
not.
rap thing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, more rap or yeah, some sort of screamo thing.
yeah, yeah,
But
totally.
yeah, I would say fat, but they're no longer around, I guess. So
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everything's crumbling. All of our past is crumbling.
yeah,
But
there's
you're still doing it, which is really cool to see. And
yeah,
you mentioned people like Greg Rickus and Steve O and people from sort of our era of playing in bands who are still at it, and it's really cool to see that. So I was happy to see that you had this new project coming because I mean, like it gives the rest of us hope.
yeah, for
You
sure.
know, maybe,
And
maybe
like
we can do something useful too.
you're never too old, and it's kind of fun. Like even the demo part of it, I really like just creating a song, putting it online, and just seeing what people think,
Yeah,
and then listening to it in my car, and kind of rocking out with no real expectation or anything. And
yeah,
that's kind of what Chucky and the Cheapskates is about.
yeah. That's cool. So is this? I mean, with the Naked Midgets, obviously that band was around for a while. I don't know how many years total. I know we talked about it. I'm sure last time you were on the show, we had that kind of retrospective thing. You put
Yeah,
out 3 records. It played a lot of shows here, Portage, everywhere. But do you? I mean, that band often didn't seem like it was being taken seriously either, and in the best possible way, right? It seemed like you
yeah,
guys were just
for
doing it
sure.
for fun. So
That was
this
kind of the point. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, me too, right? With Grandpa's Army and all those bands at the
yeah,
time, most of us were just doing it for fun. So it's cool to hear that this seems like kind of a continuation of that vibe, right? Where you have ideas, you want to put them out there, and now because technology helps, you can just do it.
exactly. Yeah, and back in the day, you really couldn't. You kind of had to know someone that had a 4 track,
Yeah,
and who could get its like CDs burnt. And even going back a few years before that, if a band wanted to do a demo, they had to go to a studio, and then they had to get the CD actually like pressed and printed
yeah,
and packaged and buy
yeah. Before
five
CDRs,
thousand.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and now you see them all in thrift shops or holding up cooking tables and stuff.
Well, I'm out
But
there
even
buying all of them and finding them. That's why
exactly,
they're in my
yeah.
they're in
So
my house. Yeah, yeah,
as a music collector, I'm sure you're all over that, as many are. And yeah, it's just like you know, the times have changed as far as that goes, and it definitely makes it easier to break back into it.
yeah.
I would say though, if your goal was to like really do something meaningful and get out there and get on a label and tour and have that be your career, I couldn't imagine now how hard that would be.
Yeah, it would be very different. I mean, even it was hard back then for a lot of people too, but this now because there's like you have the good thing about everyone and their dog being able to record and release music instantly, but then the negative of that is like how do you get heard, right? And I
There's
guess
just
you're in a place that doesn't matter. You can get heard by the
exactly.
people in your community who you already know or are playing into other bands you're with, and it seems like it should work out pretty well that way.
Yeah, you just gotta have fun and do your best, and whatever happens happens. And it
Yeah,
like I know I watched an interview with the drummer from Weezer, and he just said like he couldn't imagine trying to start a band this at this day and age to try to go
no,
somewhere. It's a different time, and
for sure. Yeah, yeah, I
but
can't imagine that either. So you know, is this band pretty much your project here? I mean, you're writing the songs, you're kind of bringing them to the other guys, and they're learning them, or is it a sort of
yeah,
a group dynamic in terms of writing?
I would say that's what's happening is a little bit of both of what you said. So it starts out like I'm writing everything, but I get together with Daniel and Chris. They're helping me out right now on drums and bass, and I like to let them have an input
Yeah,
because like if it's just one guy doing it, it's just going to be the same thing over and over, and it kind of lacks that originality and creativity and growth. Where you bring some other influences in there, and it totally creates a new song.
sure.
Because like I'm sure like you or other people have done it too, where you write a song and then a little while later you realize that's a song you've already heard by a band. It's like, oh shit, I didn't mean to rip that off.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. That's happened. I think that's happened to everybody who's ever tried to write a song. Yeah.
Oh, for sure, yeah. So it's just more a creative kind of process, and they're not out there sitting there thinking, okay, what could we do with this song? But in the process of jamming, like, well, what if we
Yeah.
tried this and whatnot? Yeah.
Has your obviously it's been a while since you were last playing in bands. Has your taste in music must have changed at least a little bit, right? But you're still listening to the punk rock stuff and the hardcore clearly. But has that affected the songwriting? I mean, just the passage of time and hearing new things
I would
and
say the
maybe
passage of time, like you might be familiar with this, like all that epitaph, kind of punk rock, skate punk. As much as we all love it, it's the same thing over and over.
oh yeah, yeah.
And you kind of got to branch out into some other genres, and like you like the reggae and whatnot, and I went through a phase probably for 10 years where I was listening to a lot of country, like
Yeah.
just kind of, and then even that, it all gets repetitive with the trucks and the drinking and the girls and everything. And it's like
Yeah.
Luke Bryan and all that. It's like it's all the same. So I think kind of genre hopping helps out, and that would maybe explain a difference in sound
Okay.
to where I'm at now. Like whereas back then, I was a massive AC/DC fan as a kid, but once I got into punk, it was punk or nothing. It
Yeah.
was like anything else was not welcome. So you end up writing a lot of the same punk songs that have already been written.
Well, and I guess part of it is that there's a low barrier to entry to play punk rock, right? I mean, you'd learn three chords, you start a band the next day, and I think
Yeah,
that's been one of the things for I'm definitely putting myself up there as someone who's terrible at playing music. I've been in a lot of bands, but I'm not good at my instruments, right? But punk rock is an avenue you can take if you're not good at instruments because you can learn a handful of chords, and there you go, you got an album already, within
yeah,
10 minutes.
for sure. And it's not like people are trying to play poorly to be punk rock.
No,
It's just the opportunity was there for you. You like that fast, aggressive, kind
exactly.
of raw music, and that's what it becomes. You still try your best and try to make it sound good
Yeah.
for the most part, and it is what it is, and it's welcome even if it doesn't sound that good.
For sure. Yeah, it's like one of the few genres where sounding bad, not on purpose, but if you just suck at your instruments, it's okay. People are
Yeah,
happy to hear it. It's the whole three chords and the truth thing, right? Which I love is my favorite thing I've ever heard anyone say about punk rock because that's what it
yeah,
is. You're expressing something, and there's sort of a basic backing to it, but the energy is there and the emotions there and the feeling is there, and that's really all you need. I mean, I'd rather listen to a terrible punk band who can barely play their instruments than someone who's a virtuoso but the music has no soul, right?
exactly. Yeah. At what point is it like a robot then? Just playing this music, or like in country, like in Nashville, a bunch of guys in suits up in a high rise like office building,
Yeah.
you know, writing what's gonna like get into the algorithms and stuff. So
Well,
yeah,
this just reminded me of the robot thing. I love talking shit about this guy, so I wanted to do it. It gave me an opportunity. But Eric Clapton, right? I mean,
yeah,
he's technically a very very good guitar player,
yeah.
but he's the most boring person to listen to ever because he's like a guitar robot. He plays everything
Mm-hmm.
exactly how it should be. It's like wow, that's impressive, but you're not. There's to me anyway as a listener, there's no feeling behind it. And my favorite video moment ever seeing Eric Clapton on video is during the movie The Last Waltz about the band's last show, and they have guests on every song, and then Clapton's up there with the band playing whatever song it was, and he's doing his little solo, not moving, completely stock still like a robot, playing all the notes perfectly, and then the guitar strap falls off in the middle of the thing, and it's like he is not prepared for that to happen because it doesn't fit in with the robotic his whole vibe. And then Robbie Robertson comes over and takes over the guitar solo, and he's fucking up, he's playing weird notes, he's dancing around, but he has a huge smile on his face, and he's really into it, and it's so much better. Like that 15 seconds of Robertson playing the solo blows Clapton stuff away because even though he's screwing it up, you can tell he's into it. And the robots, like you can play. I don't want to hear someone who can play amazingly if there's nothing behind it.
Like mechanically, Clapton can
Yeah,
do it all, and he's going to be up there. But you could watch that on YouTube if you wanted.
yeah,
Like
exactly. Who's gonna pay money to see someone just sitting up there playing everything exactly how it sounds on the record, right?
exactly. But as happens in our shows back in the day, and still like you see somebody's strap come off, and they're still trying to play their
Yep.
guitar, and the song doesn't stop. There's people barely notice. It's just part of the gig.
It
Like,
doesn't matter. It's part of the yeah, exactly. I remember my guitar neck getting caught in a trombone slide once at a ska show, and it didn't even matter. Like, who cares, right? It's yeah, yeah.
just keep going. Yeah,
Just
nobody
keep
really
going.
bats. Maybe laugh a little. Hey, look at the
Yeah,
guitar and
yeah. So
but yeah, and I think that's part of punk too.
I think so
Like
too.
that.
Yeah, one of the
It
best
has
parts of
that
it
emotion to it. Yeah.
for sure. So how do people hear Chucky and the Cheapskates? Because this is I almost fell off my chair as I was speaking. Uh,
Yeah.
if
So
this is the
excited
first
about the
time,
new
yeah, I'm
release.
so excited about your new band. Yeah, if this is the first time someone's hearing about your band, where would you send them? I mean, it's a podcast; someone could hear it the day it comes out, or they could
Yeah.
hear it 10 years from now. Because apparently, I never stopped doing the show. So
Yeah.
when
And I gotta say, 1,000 episodes now.
yeah, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely
That's
ridiculous.
insane. Over what? Probably 10 years.
It started in late 2012. Yeah, so it's
Okay.
13 years now. Yeah, but
Yeah. Congratulations. Yeah.
yeah, thank
But
you.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Finding the album, it's gonna be. I say gonna because the date we are right now, it's gonna be coming out Friday, September 5th at midnight.
okay.
So it's gonna be on all the streaming platforms and everything.
So the good
And
news, by the time this comes out, it'll already be available. So once you're done listening
yeah,
to this podcast, go right onto Bandcamp or whatever and find it and download
exactly.
it.
You
And,
could
yeah.
you could get it right then and there, and discover my whole catalog, which is 5 songs.
4 of them will be on this episode too.
exactly. And I recently discovered the band Ween. I don't know if you're
Yeah,
familiar.
great band. Yeah,
Where you get back and listen to their like full catalog. Like I like discovering a band late. Some people are like, "Oh man, like I'm late to the party." That's awesome. They have so much back catalog, you know. Yeah.
yeah, very
So
cool.
yeah, you can get there. I will have physical copies of the CD. They won't be in stores or anything, but if you're at a show or if you know guys in the band personally, you could get those too.
Well, I'll
And
bug you
obviously,
for. I'll need to bug you for one myself. But yes,
you know,
yeah,
for sure, I'll send you one or give you one at a show. But with punk, I'm noticing too a lot of people still sell CDs on their merch table and
awesome. Yeah,
popular sale item. You know, like and I think it's more just to get it to have the CD of Broken Idols or whatever band you're there to see that night. You know.
for sure. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. So, and then on social media, where can people follow you?
Yeah, they can follow me on Instagram mainly. I got to set up a Facebook just so that I don't have to bombard friends and family that aren't really into the band. You know, they could follow it if they want. But yeah, right now on Instagram, it's just Chucky and the Cheapskates.
Awesome. And then, again, this someone could hear this a year after it's out, but if someone's
Yeah,
listening right now and it's a current episode, do you have anything coming up in the next few months as far as shows?
yeah, I got a show. Well, yeah, it's probably going to be done by now. Playing the Back Alley Beers Festival.
Yeah, that'll
They're
be
another
over. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
podcast you're familiar with. It'll be over, but that's kind of probably the end of summer thing, unless something comes up. And then it's pretty busy fall and winter, so probably I would look to next spring and
Cool.
summer. It'll give people time to listen to the album and get into it. And like the old band DBS when they toured, they would back in the day the only option was to bring their album out on tour, so nobody knew the new album at the show.
Absolutely. Yeah. I still have those CDs.
Exactly, they'd play everything off the new album, and nobody really was into it because they had never heard those songs. But by the time they came back next summer, everybody was pumped up.
For sure. Yeah. We were probably at some of the same shows seeing DBS. I'm sure back in the day. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, guaranteed. West End Cultural Center kind of shows.
Definitely. Yeah. Right
But
on there.
yes,
Yeah.
probably a light winter, but I'll be writing and whatnot as always, and you never know what's going to come out next summer. I think it would be cool to do kind of a 5-song EP every summer.
Right on. Cool.